I knew everybody.
All right. All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda, we have resolution and proclamation for our valedictorian and valedictorian. Should I read it down there? Up here. Just think a microphone would be a little better, so I'm going to read it from up here. All right, I'm going to read our resolution. Whereas Pierce, I'm so sorry, is valedictorian of the Charahoe Regional High School class of 2025. Whereas is a student of the highest caliber. And whereas Kira will be attending Wheaton College in Norton, Mass, where she will be studying biochemistry with plans to attend medical school. And whereas has been involved with Girl Scouts, and whereas was co-president of the Earth Club, and whereas Kira was a varsity soccer player for 2 years, then volunteered to coach girls U11 team through Ocean State North Kingstown Soccer. And whereas every resident of the Charahoe community is extremely proud of her. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the members of the Town Council and the Town of Richmond hereby congratulate Kira Pierce for her outstanding academic and extracurricular achievements and wish her the best of luck as she continues her education and pursues her dreams. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall become a permanent part of the official record of the Town Council of the Town of Richmond, given under seal of the Town of Richmond the 17th day of June 2025. Congratulations. I'll read the other one, then we'll do a motion to approve both. Whereas Maya Iskander, valedictorian of the Charahoe Regional High School class of 2025, is a student of the highest caliber. And Maya is a member of the National Honor Society. And whereas has been captain of the girls volleyball team her senior year. And whereas was president of the VAASA, the Vocal Athletes Advocating Against Substance Abuse. And whereas Maya was a volunteer docent, thank you, at the Mystic Aquarium. And whereas Maya will study biochemistry with a Spanish minor on pre-health track at the University of Florida. And whereas every resident of the Charahoe community is extremely proud of her. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the members of the Town Council of the Town of Richmond hereby congratulate Maya Iskander for her outstanding academic and extracurricular achievements and wish her the best of luck as she continues her education and pursues her dreams. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be a permanent part of the official record of the Town Council of the Town of Richmond, given under seal of the Town of Richmond the 17th day of June 2025. Congratulations. Now, could we please have a motion to approve both of our resolutions?
Motion to approve the resolutions honoring the Charahoe valedictorian and salutatorian.
Second.
All right. Any council discussion? We'll go for, yeah, sure.
I just want to say, it's been a while since I've been to graduation. I went more than 10 years ago when my older kids were graduated from Charahoe, and I loved it then. And I went this past year as a member of the council, and it's just such a great ceremony and very uplifting. So I know people don't like to go out on Friday night, but if you got nothing better to do next year on the night of graduation, you should definitely go, because it's great to see the energy and the pride that every student has on their face when they go up and get their diploma. So it is a great, makes you feel good when you leave. So
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Reynolds.
yes.
And Wilcox. Yes. Congratulations again.
You
You just need the white version?
want to go present them?
Yeah.
Haven't seen them.
Yeah, we have to stand up. We're gonna have a picture. Oh, you want to like? You want it like percent, because they don't give me one? Told me, I didn't get a script before this.
You only graduate once.
Congratulations, ladies. Well, what I said, is there anything before council I should know? That's what I meant. So we need Jim to sign, I think. But he's not here. Okay,
Yep.
Thank
Welcome.
you
Wait,
very
there's a
much
second
for
picture.
doing that. We really appreciate it.
congratulations again.
Have a good night.
You don't usually get invited to the pictures.
No, middle. I like to be. I can't hear.
You're going to it's okay. You sit up first.
I don't want to sit up.
But you can have whatever seat you want, VIP. All right, are we ready to continue on? All right. Next we have the public hearings. I have a motion to open a public hearing for the Preserve Property Management Company.
Motion to open the public hearing on the outdoor entertainment license of Preserve Property Management Company LLC for the clubhouse, range, and Hilltop Lodge.
Second.
We have a motion or a second. Any council, we'll just open the public hearing. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right, so we have our public hearing open. Any council discussion before we go to the public?
Yeah, just
Sure, go
one
ahead.
note. So we're requesting waivers. We just had this come up at a previous town council meeting. The waivers are only for religious, charitable, or civic organizations. So I know this is a unique situation. Preserve is a very unique business in Richmond. How do we handle these types of things?
Past councils have done a motion to approve without waivers. There's never been an issue there before, so I don't anticipate there being one again. So if you wanted to do that motion, we could do it again.
So moved.
Well, I meant like after we close the public hearing, yeah, when we get there.
Getting ahead of myself here.
All right, any other council discussion? Anybody from the public want to speak on the Preserve license? All right, have a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got our motion, our second. We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Wilcox, yes. Now we'll go for that motion, please, Counselor Madnick.
Yeah, a motion to approve the outdoor entertainment license for Preserve Property Management Company LLC, the clubhouse, range, and Hilltop Lodge located at 87 Kingstown Road between the dates of June 2025 and June 2026, with dates varying by event.
I'll second it. Any further council discussion? All right, we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. Okay, on to our next public hearing. We have an outdoor entertainment license for Richmond Smoke. Can I have a motion to open this public hearing?
Well,
All right, go ahead, Counselor
Yes, I'm the
Reynolds.
designated hearing opener. Motion to open a public hearing on the outdoor entertainment license of Richmond Smoke, 1219 Main Street.
Second, I'll second it. And we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Our public hearing is open. Any council discussion before we go to the public? Nope. I had a note just to mention that last year there was a noise complaint. I'm going to still approve the license, I think, but I just wanted to say to the public, if you have an issue with noise, there's a proper venue for reporting that. So I'd encourage you to do so, because even if we issue these licenses, those noise ordinances are still in place. And I guess as a reminder to the applicant as well, they're in place. Any other council discussion? Councilor Reynolds, I see you.
No, I was just gonna add, you mentioned, alluded to it, and I was gonna ask the chief if there had been noise complaints, but you just covered that.
All right. Anyone from the public have anything they'd like to share? Sure, go ahead, Mr. Benson.
Dave Benson, Wyoming, Rhode Island. You already alluded to this. I rise, Madam President, to speak against this application. I live about 1,000 feet from the venue. I live in a very quiet neighborhood called Canal Park. Many of you know it. It's got about 35 homes. It's very quiet, except at this time of year when people mow their lawns. That's kind of the extent of the noise. I understand, and I don't presume to speak for anybody but myself. I understand that the town ordinance says that the noise limits are 75 decibels at 200 feet. And looking online, I find that that's about, it was supposed to be about the noise from your vacuum cleaner. But the noise from the live concerts is annoying, especially when it's added to the highway noise and the gunfire from the preserve. I talked to the last council about noise in general. And I'll tell you the same story now that I told then. My son lives in Pawtucket. He was down for dinner one night. It was a summer. There was quite a loud concert at that venue, gunfire from the preserve, lots of highway noise. And he said, it's definitely quieter. It's definitely noisier here than it is in Pawtucket, which kind of struck me. Some concerts are louder than others. I think after that one particularly egregious concert, they managed to tone things down a little bit. Just wondering if there's any way you can mandate some sort of monitoring of the noise levels when these concerts take place. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public like to speak? Sure, go ahead. When you get to the podium, please state your name for the record.
I'm Oriana Kenyon. I'm the general manager over at Richmond Smoke. I recently took over at the end of February. I have a couple of staff members here as well. I would just like to say that I do agree that last year it was too loud for the community, but since I have taken over in charge, we have changed the music genre exponentially. Like, not a lot of metal anymore. It's been like country, bluegrass, you know, like things here and there. We are trying to be respectful of the community and everything else. I'm trying to, you know, abide by everybody and try to make them happy as well, because we do know that, you know, sound travels and everything, but we respect the community and we just, you know, we keep that in mind now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Anybody else from the public or anybody online? All right, we have a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
All right, our motion, our second, Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Okay, so now could we have a motion on the license?
Motion to approve the outdoor entertainment license for Richmond Smoke, 1219 Main Street, between June, and November, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, 1 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Second.
All right, so we have our motion and our second. We'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor
What,
Dinsmore.
can we just,
Oh, further discussion?
yeah,
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to, you did, but I want to thank Ms. Kenyon for stepping up and letting us know the change in, you know, circumstances there. And I would, if you haven't already, maybe encourage you to exchange contact information with Mr. Bankston, just so if there is an issue, you guys can talk about it. And, you know, maybe you could check in with him just to check in, just, you know, but I appreciate you stepping up and being here and wanting to make things, you know, good for everybody. So I appreciate that.
All right, any other council discussion? All right. Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right, so that's all for our public hearings. Now we have licenses. First one is an application from the Preserve Hilltop White Birch for a 1-year indoor entertainment license.
Motion to approve the indoor entertainment license for Preserve Property Management LLC, the Hilltop White Birch, located at 2 Bumblebee Lane, for a 1-year license.
Second,
All right, we have our motion, our second. Any council discussion on this one? All right, we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Great. Another indoor entertainment license, another for the Preserve Clubhouse Double Barrel.
Motion to approve the indoor entertainment license for Preserve Property Management LLC. Clubhouse Double Barrel at 87 Kingstown Road for a 1-year license.
All right,
Second.
we got a motion and a second. Any council discussion on this one?
Madam Chair, yes.
Sure.
So I just want to note to the residents in the audience that there's an interesting circumstance here where the preserve is asking multiple licenses here for both outdoor and indoor entertainment licenses. And the reason they're asking for both is that some of their indoor events may end up being outdoor. So I know the preserve at sometimes can be polarizing in this town, but I just want to point out that they are requesting both licenses for outdoor, indoor entertainment, which is setting a good example, I think, for the rest of the community. In case an indoor entertainment event does end up outside, they have the proper licenses in hand.
Awesome. Any further council discussion? All right, we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Thank you. Now we're on to our new hires. We have first discussion and consideration of Brian Shea for summer camp director. Oh, I'm sorry, assistant summer camp director. I'm not liking my screen today. I'm gonna blame everything on that. Can I have a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Brian Shea as Assistant Summer Camp Director.
Second.
Sure, we have our motion, our second. Any council discussion on this one?
Brian here.
No, he's not.
All right, so we'll go for our roll call vote. How do you vote, Counselor Dinsmore?
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, now we have discussion consideration of hiring the summer camp counselors. We can do this all in one motion, I'm assuming and hoping. Thank you.
Motion to hire the following summer camp counselors: Erica Christensen, Julia LaFontaine, Amanda Moyer, Isabel Woodensee, Haley Silva, Joe McKnight, Alexis Dugas, Jocelyn Pizzuti, Elena Wishin. Tried to practice that one, I apologize. Joseph Kuna, Audrey Oskai, Jack Corus, Daphne Grimm.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, our second. Any council discussion on hiring camp counselors?
And
All right.
counselors here.
No, they don't usually
I don't
come.
give
Caitlin, do
credit
you
for
want,
them.
do you want to say anything or?
No.
Okay. I just figured you're here. If you wanna-
Questions.
No, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything. No, I don't have any questions. They don't want you to come here all ready to say something and then they didn't ask me.
No. It's
Even if we don't ask you, I mean, staff always does just say like, they raise their hand if they're sitting out there and they want to come say something. So,
Okay.
It's all good. So we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, discussion and consideration of hiring Arthur Burton as a DPW truck driver / laborer. Have a motion on this item.
A motion to hire Arthur Burton as DPW truck driver laborer.
Second.
Thank you. We got a motion and our second. Any council discussion on this item?
Mr. Burton here.
Rob,
How you doing?
Good, how are
Good,
you?
how are you? Just always give the opportunity to people we're hiring or appointing to say anything they want. You don't have to, it's not interrogation or anything.
No, I love Richmond. It's a great town, beautiful people, and I look forward to making a positive impact here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Welcome to the party.
Thank you.
Appointments and resignations. We have discussion and consideration request for a planning board appointment with one vacancy. We have 2 applicants for this one, Nancy Hess and Christopher Serpia. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Are applicants online or here? And Christopher, if you're online, please raise your hand, let us know you're there. What I was thinking we could do is hear from both applicants, kind of like we did with other ones when we have 1 position and 2 applicants, and then we'll put a motion on the floor for decision-making.
You're behind us. Nancy, you should have audio.
Good evening.
Good evening. We can hear you. Did you want to share a little bit about why you're interested in or coming back to the position? Anything else you'd want to share with us is great as well.
Sure. I've been a town resident for about 35 years, and of that time, I think 20 or more, I have been a previous volunteer for the planning board. With the recent brief hiatus, I think that's probably one of the longer serving members. I am a professional planner. I worked for the federal government, the private sector, 3 municipalities in Washington County, and am currently employed by statewide planning. So I would like to return to volunteering and helping my own community with my planning skills.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Erin, did we find our other applicant on there?
I don't have a raised hand unless it's a Miss Taylor Swift or resident, Richmond resident, GWP. You can chat if you can't raise your
I
hand.
would love to have Taylor Swift on our planning board, but I don't think she's a Richmond resident. Maybe Westerly will take her. All right, so with him not being here, we can't hear from him. I guess we'll go straight into our motions. Did he say anything? Because sometimes applicants reach out in advance, say, hey, something came up. Okay, just making sure. All right.
Motion to appoint Nancy Hess to the planning board, term expiring January 31st, 2026.
Second.
All right, any council discussion on this item? Yeah, sure, go ahead, Mark.
I just say, thank Nancy for coming back. I think, she'd be a great addition. Her experience obviously speaks for itself, and I think she'll be, again, a great addition to the planning board again.
Agreed, yeah, for sure. All right, we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
No.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, on to our next item, discussion consideration for a renewal for senior activities of Joanne Burgess for renewal to the Senior Activities Committee. Have a motion to approve this, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any council discussion? For renewal, they don't have to be here. I don't see her here. All right, so we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, we have Jacqueline Lombardo request for renewal to the Senior Activities Committee with a term expiring May 31st, 2028. Can I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any council discussion? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Now we have discussion and consideration of Jeffrey Noble's request for appointment to the Finance Board. He is here, trying to hide. If you don't mind just stepping up and sharing a little bit of your interest in the Finance Board.
Hi, Jeff Noble, Richmond resident for 10 years. I already serve on the board of tax assessment review, and given the process of the last budget and the referendum, not just like the results of the referendum, but also the process of seeing you guys up here going through line by line, doing a lot of work. I thought maybe I could help out to alleviate that work by volunteering for the Finance Committee. I also thought maybe there's an issue with communication, as we've seen, some misinformation came out about the budget. And I'd like to try and provide more information to the public, because this is truly a unique situation in my experience, having lived several different states and even a different country, a direct democracy basically of approval of an annual budget. And so the executive authority, for lack of a better term, actually rests with the voters through the referendum. And it's difficult for voters to make informed decisions unless they have all the facts. So I'm hoping to take the budget and help the Finance Committee make a better presentation to the public so they can make informed decisions about what they're voting for and make the town better. So that's my spiel.
That's awesome. Sounds like a good idea.
Any questions?
Let's see. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Noble? All right, thank you. So we'll go for a motion, please.
Motion to appoint Jeffrey W. Noble to the Finance Board with term expiring November 30th, 2029.
Second.
All right, any further council discussion? All right, thank you for stepping up for another board. I look forward to that idea actually of more information from the finance board to the public. I think that'll be really helpful in future years, just so people can learn more about the process and get more information before we start telling them to vote. Yeah, thank you. We'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
No.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. Thank you. We have a resignation of Christine Donahue from the Dog Park Committee. I have a motion to accept with regrets, please.
Motion to accept the resignation of Christine Donahue from the Dog Park Committee with regrets.
Second.
Any council discussion? All right, Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. I think we all want to skip this next one.
Say that we have.
Don't make a motion, you can't leave.
We even have our town solicitor voting against it. All right, motion to accept Karen Pinch's resignation with regret.
Second.
Any council discussion?
And
Our,
with great thanks for her many years.
right?
of
I
service and
was gonna say our
dedication.
silence is sadness.
Enjoy your retirement.
All right, so we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, on to our
But you're
consent.
not leaving yet.
No,
Mhm.
no. On to the consent agenda. Do we have, anybody have anything they want to pull?
Yes, 2C, please.
To see the finance report. Okay, can I have a motion to pull the others?
Me to approve.
Or yeah, through the
Motion
others.
to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and our second. Any council discussion on these? All right, Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right, what would you like to talk about in the finance director's report?
All right, bear with me, Danielle. I got a couple questions coming at you and for the council. All right, so let me just scroll down here because there's a number of pages on this. Danielle should know by now I do read these things. All right, so I was looking at the income and hold on, we're just gonna find the right page here. Revenue. So in miscellaneous income, year to date, it's 250,715. The projection in the budget was 136,500. So we've doubled the income. And then I went and I looked down further on in the detail for income, and I saw that the detail pay for police officers was way higher than what we expected. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, just if I'm understanding this, we get paid for the detail pay, and that detail pay then gets transferred to the police officers.
Yes, we pay the police officers after they do it immediately, and then we get reimbursed from the companies that do it. But if you look at the next detail revenue, and then you look at the detail pay, you kind of have to subtract those two,
Right,
and that will give you what's left over.
okay. So there's no additional revenue coming into the
No,
town for that.
no,
It's one to
no.
one, it's just,
Yeah,
A
we
pass
do
through.
get money for cruisers, like the cruisers, they do. And we put that aside into the police for the capital purchases.
Just as a reminder, last time I was told that you were very quiet in the meeting, so I can hear you fine. I don't know how you're coming across online on Zoom, and I'm. All right, I just wanted to make sure.
okay. And then I think we pretty much know what's going on here, but I just want to bring it up. So our legal services is almost doubled projections. And there's been quite a bit of litigation, and it took me a little bit of time to find it. Now I'm trying to find it on the expenses, which is
On page 4,
page 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so litigation is $106,000 over our projections. And in order to really understand it, you gotta really, you gotta go down into the actual expenses. And there were some fees in there from attorneys I wasn't familiar with. And I know this is coming at you cold, but do you recall what that litigation was for?
That litigation line item is, well, it's honestly so high because of the preserve.
Okay, so
And
the,
there we have different,
Maruzak.
Maruzak is the,
Is there a specific law firm
Yeah.
you're referring to?
yeah, no, well, there was one in there. I know it's not gonna find it.
Wayland.
Is it Wayland?
I think that was it.
That's the labor lawyer.
Yeah,
Okay,
For the police.
okay. And then it looks like on page 2 of revenue, so summary of activity, year to date, are we expected to have almost $491,000 of increased revenue over expenses? Am I reading that correctly? The summary of activity,
we still have a whole month left and everybody has to get their bills in by the end of
okay,
June, so.
so we won't know for another month. Okay, I was just looking at the projections and wasn't sure if that number
Yeah.
was gonna,
No, we still have several weeks for
okay.
expenses.
And then if we scroll down into expenses for, on page 10, hoping that this is just a pass through, but there was a charge for $120 for portable toilets for the food truck event on May 8th.
Yes.
It's just a pass through?
Yeah, they,
Okay,
we just got the check, we just put it in this week.
all
He
right.
gives us a check the day of the event.
Okay, I want to make sure that we
Yeah.
got reimbursed because it's
Yeah.
very clear in that contract that you pay it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your time. That's all I have. Motion to approve item 2C.
Second,
Any further council discussion on this item? All right, Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right. Sorry, I'm going back to my agenda. We are on public forum. The purpose of public forum is to give members of the public an opportunity to address the town council about items not on the agenda. We ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. You have one opportunity to address the council during public forum. This is out of courtesy for others who wish to speak to ensure we have equal time for all. There'll be a timer which will go off when your 3 minutes are up, so you know to finish. If you need more time, we welcome you to submit your comments in writing to the town clerk to be included as part of the record in the communication section of the agenda. All comments should be directed to the president and not any other person present. With that, do we have anybody who'd like to speak in public forum? Sure, go ahead, Mr. Sayer. I'm just setting your timer.
Try not to go. Bob Sayer, Richmond. I just want to, I know it's on the agenda, but it's already been voted on, but I want to welcome Nancy Hess back. And I want to say how much we're going to miss Ms. Pinch. Did a great job for the town of Richmond. There's been some people that have stood at this podium that have made condescending remarks about the way this government is run against people in this government, everything else. And it's funny, but they're not here tonight. But I think that in this day and age, with all of the stuff that's happening, this is the elected town council. If you've got a gripe with them, bring it up. But to grandstand and make a big point about nothing, which one in particular has done. And then you go and you read some of the Westerly Sun things and complains about them being, other people being condescending and everything else. I think all this stuff needs to stop. Let's treat people with respect like they're supposed to. You're in elected positions. I personally think this is the best town council that I've seen in a long time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Do I
You-
have to get up there?
You can stay there.
Thank you. I just want to say that I'm an old lady and I have been here since we've had town administrators. I've known them all. And I am so sad to see Karen leave. She's been an excellent one. And I am very sorry she's leaving.
Thank you, Ivy, you're very sweet.
Thank you. Anybody else for public forum? Anybody online? Nope. All right, we will go on to reports. Lady of the hour.
All right, so the first thing I want to do is just share some information about the community center that we're sharing with Hopkinton. Hopkinton is currently renovating a building that was existing. They've gutted it. I did tour it on May 23rd, and Erin actually has some photos that I took. So Sam had just asked me to kind of answer a few questions while I was there, and one of them was like, when is it gonna be done? So that'll be October or November of this year, if all stays on target. As far as what services they're going to provide, the state actually had certain requirements in order to get the grant money. Certain activities had to take place there. That was education, workforce readiness, and health initiatives. So at a minimum, those things will take place there, although I know they were also planning to do some recreation activities there. I did send you all today the memorandum of agreement with Hopkinton. Just, I don't think you were all here when we signed that, so it's a refresher for some and new information for others, but we will have equal access to that at resident prices. So whatever Hopkinton residents pay, if anything, for a service, we would pay the same rate as well. And have equal access, so they wouldn't get priority over Richmond residents. That's pretty much it on that, unless anyone has any questions on it. Were you able to, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Were you scrolling through all the, okay, thanks.
I do have a question. So one
Yeah.
thing I read in that contract is that it's only good for 5 years. Is there an opportunity, you think, to extend that?
I'm sure there would be an opportunity to reopen that conversation.
Yeah, that was something that we had questioned as a council. We did not, I think it wasn't our favorite part of it. But we were told by the then solicitor that it was it was limited because of the grant. Because I don't know, it made sense that they needed that to say it in order for the grant process to go through. That was the reasoning we were given.
5-year limit?
Yeah, I'm hoping that towards the end of the 5 years, we can extend it.
If I remember correctly, the 5 years is the time during which those 3 activities that are mandated by the state have to take place. Which is, what we gave our money over for. So
Mhm.
hopefully after that time period, then we can renegotiate. I mean, we've had a really good relationship with Hopkinton, so I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
Any other council questions or discussion? All right.
Somebody
Thank-
someone from the public. has a question.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Just wanted to ask you, where is the building?
Can you just come to the podium and state your name for the record?
I was thinking the same thing, location.
Yeah.
Julie Lizzie, Richmond resident, I'm just curious as to where the building was. I think
Are
I
you
heard
familiar
once.
with the Crandall House?
Yes.
It's that building kind of behind it. So the old house is kind of right on the street.
Yep.
And it's like kind of through the parking lot and right behind it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for all your services. We're wonderful to have you.
Appreciate it.
That's a great area over there with all the basketball courts.
Fields and,
Yeah,
yeah.
fields, big
Mhm.
fields, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
All right. On to our
Um,
next one.
Second item I have is an approval for an easement with Rhode Island Energy. As you know, we have the 4-log chlorination system that's going in on KG Ranch Road. And this is just for the power lines for that chlorination.
Awesome. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve the easement with Rhode Island Energy, Narragansett Electric, and Verizon to install utility pole at AP 3B-2-001 KG Ranch Road.
Second?
Awesome. Any council discussion or questions? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes.
I think that covered the next thing as well,
Well,
because he mentioned pole placement.
we may be able to. So the plan that was attached will be included in a typical pole placement petition. However, Verizon and Narragansett Electric, who still installs the poles for Rhode Island Energy, hadn't submitted the placement in time.
Mhm.
However, it's understood that that is the location. So you may be able to approve it conditional, approve it, the petition, even though we don't have a
Yes.
physical petition, because there is some time element with Department of Health and the consent.
Okay, so if we made a motion to approve with the consent that you give a final approval later, just to make sure it's matches what we have?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm putting that motion on the floor. Motion to approve the poll placement petition with the condition of a final approval from our town administrator.
Second.
Any council discussion? All right, we'll go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right, one more.
Thank
item.
you. Yeah, the last thing I have, actually, we were gonna have someone from GZA on the call, and I don't know if he's on. He sent an email, a little before 4 today saying he had his daughter's dance recital, but he sent me a whole update that I can read if he's not here yet. Okay. So this is, again, an update for the environmental study that's going on at 4 Richmond Townhouse Road. So he said GZA environmental consultant was contacted by the town to assist with the 4 Richmond Townhouse Road redevelopment project. Projects being funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD requires an environmental review for all funded projects. The environmental review is conducted to assess the potential environmental impacts of a project that is funded by HUD. The environmental review is a mandatory process before any funds can be spent on the project. Site is located directly across from the town hall, adjacent to Charahoe Furniture. Approximately 5.0 acre currently vacant property is mostly undeveloped woodland with a portion previously cleared and used as a staging area for the recent Rydot roadway improvement project. Proposed project is the development of a community recreation space consisting of a prefabricated pavilion with ADA compliant restrooms and accessible parking and associated septic and utilities. The ER takes into account many factors, including the surrounding environment, natural resources, air, water, soil quality, and human health, among others. The ER is completed in sections for review by the HUD assigned project manager. Once sections have gone through the pre-review process, they are compiled and submitted to HUD for official approval. The pre-review process is designed to streamline the approval process once officially submitted. We are currently in the pre-review process with many sections with the HUD project manager. Several community notifications take place as part of the review. Required notifications have been sent to area tribal communities, historic preservation society, etc. So they are made aware of the project and for their comment. These letters were sent on May 25th to various entities. They have 30 days to respond. If no response, then we may proceed. As of 6/17/25, we have not received any responses. Currently waiting on HUD's pre-review of several sections. They've expressed their apologies for the delay in review, but they are currently severely understaffed with this project being passed along to a West Coast representative. Lastly, although the ER has not been finalized, the results of our review find that we do not anticipate any adverse impacts that would require an alteration of the proposed project or stand in the way of funding. Sounds all good.
Awesome. Anybody have a question on that? All right. Thank you, Karen.
Sure.
Keep your fingers.
All
Yeah.
right, so we'll go on to the chief's report.
Everybody,
Good evening. How are you?
folks, how are you? I have to comment like everybody else. Served with Karen Pence for the last 10 years has been an honor. You really, you are somebody to be proud of and truly have integrity. I don't know how you keep track of all the things that you juggle on a daily basis, but it's impressive. You'll be missed. I wish you a very happy retirement with your family. I just wanted to update you on Derek Adams. He's the patrol officer that we hired back in January to fill one of 2 vacant positions, one of those tragically caused by the death of Sergeant Michael back in October. He is everything that we hoped he was going to be. He graduated high in his class. He was 6 out of 44 when they add up all the points as to academics, athletic performance. The director of the academy actually called me. We had a conversation. He said, "You got a really good guy there. Good luck keeping him." He said he's the kind of person he'll fit in anyway. And he's very attentive, and he's been in FTO. So what happens is the academy goes on for about 5 months. And when you graduate from that, you have about 14 weeks of field training. The senior officer who's been trained in observations of all the requisite skill sets that you need. I mean, the most important thing is hiring the right person that has the right personality, has integrity and honesty, cares about the public. They're going to succeed because that's what the public wants, and they create less problems because in his instance, he really treats people respectfully and professionally. But the FTO trainers are so impressed with him at his level of attention to detail, taking notes while he's learning, trying to get the best performance he can on himself. Just really impressive. So he's in a stretch. He probably has about 10 weeks to go, depending on where he's at that time. But right now, he's right on track. And I'd like to thank the field training officers we have, Mike Donahue, Mark Taylor, and Andy Brady filled in on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief.
All right.
Yeah.
We're not in a public forum. We're into the town clerk's report.
I wanted to follow the chief, if you didn't mind. It has something to do with the police department.
Sure.
Problem? I've been at the high school for quite a while now, and the chief sent over Patrolman Mike Ellis, who today's the last day of school at Charahoe. Patrolman Ellis was the SRO, did a remarkable job for the high school. Not only did he take care of the kids, but you found out that the kids approached him and had conversations with him, initiated by students. That's unbelievably wonderful. That goes to the professionalism of him and also of our chief for giving him to us. And I want to shout out to him. Perhaps the town council in the future might want to have a commendation for this gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. He's amazing.
Excuse me, do you mind if we grab your name, sir?
Your name for the record.
Oh, Cardozo, Cardozo.
First
Wood
name.
River Junction, Robert.
Thank you. All right, on to our clerk's report.
Okay, so, based on last week's vote, I confirmed with Danielle and her timelines and the Board of Elections. And, I think we alluded that we could probably have it July 1st, however, that's 4th of July, and I have concerns of having enough poll workers. Plus having it a popular holiday vacation might not be ideal for a vote. So Tuesday, July 8th is what is proposed, and the voting hours the same. We'll be here at Town Hall from 8 a.m. to 8.
All right, that sounds good to me. Do we have a motion to approve this date?
Motion to set the date for the Richmond budget referendum on July 8th, 2025, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Second.
All right, so we got our motion, our second. Any council discussion? All right, roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. I see you need us to approve the ballot question as well.
Yes, so I don't know if it's the preference of the council to have the previous question, which was, shall the Richmond municipal budget for fiscal year 25-26 as adopted by the town council? Or should you want a new one? I have to let the printer know.
Okay. I like it as is. Anybody else
I
want
mean,
to put something else?
my only thought was to add the word revised, since it was revised, so people understand it's different than it was before, but that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I think at least it's clear that this is revised from the previous.
I support that.
You want to put it into a motion?
Sure, I make a motion to approve the ballot question, just to add the word revised to what Erin just
So
stated,
where would you want to just say the question? Like, where do you want it to say revised?
as revised by the Richmond Town, revised budget adopted by
Okay.
Richmond Town Council.
Perfect.
the Richmond municipal budget for fiscal year 25-26, as revised and adopted by the town council be approved.
Sure.
Second. Any council discussion on that? All right, Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, thank you, Erin. On to our EMA Director's Report. Nicholas, you are here. Tried to hide, but we called you anyway. Thank you so much for getting this to us.
Yeah, of
I'll
course.
turn it over to you to share what you'd like to share.
So just met with Talia and Gary. Talia is our town planner, Gary, our DPW director. Reviewed the items that were presented as hazards. There were 29 in total first in 2022. I went through, basically kind of sat down with them to try to guess, and I shouldn't say guess, decide where we're at on those items and move forward if we need to move forward on them. I sent the memo to Karen. I believe she forwarded it on to all of you as well. Basically, I laid out every question and reference back to the hazard mitigation plan to try to get you guys as much information as possible. Most of the items are either in progress, have been completed, or have been addressed based on where they're going to be in their progress. So for that much, it's pretty much up to date now.
Awesome,
So
appreciate it. Any council questions?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead, Counselor Madnick.
Bear with me. This is
Okay.
gonna be a while because I read through this whole thing. It was very important
Yeah,
that we went through this. So I'm basically gonna go down the same numbering scheme that you provided us based on the actions in the hazard mitigation plan. I don't expect you to know the answers to these questions, but perhaps you can look into them and get back to the council so we can decide how to take action. Very similar process to how we went through the comprehensive community plan. It's important that we go through these and understand what needs to get done and how the council can help facilitate this, because this is really important to town residents. Make sure that we can protect our town and protect the safety of everyone that lives here. Okay, so number one, which is the implement the mitigation strategies identified to reduce flood vulnerability and routine damages in the Valley Lodge neighborhood. So there is a grant through the Natural Resources Conservation District that was implemented and awarded to study the flooding in Valley Lodge. Do we know what the status of that study is? Do we have any results from it?
I do not. I can try to get answers on that.
Respectfully though, with the agenda item like listed as a hazard mitigation update, right? Should we be getting into specifics of specific areas? In particular, I know people from Valley Lodge get very upset, not upset, like passionate about their area. I would just want to just proceed with caution with getting too far into it. I don't know. That could just be me because the agenda item does just say, I'll go to it because I have my notes up
I think it's
instead.
fair that I can ask questions
But
about a
I
report
just-
that we asked.
No, I'm not saying it's not fair. You can't ask questions. Nobody's saying you can't ask questions. It just says EMA Director's Report, Annual Hazard Mitigation Plan Review. I just, with the first question being about Valley Lodge, it just gives me a little bit of pause, just because I know that a lot of people would want to be a part of that conversation and be notified of it. That's my concern, but I think that would be a concern, I guess, for the solicitor to
I think that's.
help us out on.
Concern.
Sure, go ahead.
No,
Counselor Reynolds.
I think the question is, what's the status of the study? That's not, what are we gonna, it's not what are we gonna do about it? It's
Right.
What's the status of this study? And I think that's fair.
Exactly.
But I'm saying when we go forward, proceed with caution and just give what we know, what we don't know, and we'll come back later with it actually being noticed on the agenda. Sure, go ahead, Karen.
I have some.
She might have an
information
answer.
that
Yeah.
Actually, just this week, got an announcement from NRCS about a stakeholders meeting related to this PL 566 project. And that meeting is July 1st at 10 a.m. at our community center on the second floor of the police station. I can share that flyer with you all.
That would be good to share everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should put it on the website and Facebook page as well.
Okay, I can move on. So I'm just gonna skip to the ones that have been completed that are in progress. So Number 3 in the hazard mitigation plan is elevate the road beds at Mechanic Street and Switch Road at Diamond Brook, Pine Hill at Meadowbrook, and Pine Hill at White Brook. So it says it's in progress. Do you know which portions of the road beds have been elevated or tended to?
I don't off the top of my head. I had that conversation with Gary and I honestly don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. If possible, do you think you can
Yeah, I can work with Gary and get you that
submit that
list.
to the council? Okay. For numbers 4, 5, and 6 on a hazard mitigation plan, it had to do with potential acquisition of highly flood prone properties. There are federal programs that allow for purchase of homes that keep getting flooded out, but there's been no parties interested in that. So I just want to make that statement. Number 7 is stormwater management improvements and that address runoff from 195 and Route 3. And I'm going to tie this in with number 8, which is upgrading culverts to manage stormwater runoff for Route 138. So I guess the question for you, Nick, is do you think it's worthwhile to set up a meeting with RIDOT to talk about this? And if any action has taken place and how we can work together to try to mitigate it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have any contacts with RIDOT yet. I'm still obviously very new, trying to get my feet wet with every department in the state. But this was just to get you guys a report of where we were at from what the information I was able to gather in the couple short months.
Absolutely. Like I said, this is great. Now that we have it, we can start taking actions to try to move this thing along.
Of course.
That's what we're here for. So number 9 is interesting. It's update design storm precipitation amounts for subdivision design. I know that Talia's here, so she might pipe in with this one, but I don't believe that the town manages or regulates the stormwater precipitation amounts. It has to do with RIDM, with the RIPTES permits. Does the town have any input or control over how these stormwater management precipitation calculations are performed?
I'm not sure on that. Talia would be the better one to speak on that for sure.
I'm not prepared to opine on that right at this moment in time.
Okay. All right, so number 10 was hire a grant administrator to be tracking, pursuing, and managing hazard mitigation plan related grants. So hazard mitigation is going to be another focus of the grant writer position that we just removed from the budget. So this is going to be delayed until the town is open to hiring a grant writer to help with hazard mitigation programs. So another reason why a grant writer would have been an important position. Okay, so moving on to number 11 and kind of number 11 and 12 has to do with stream and river flooding. So it's coordinating with town and local agencies and the DPW to determine if there's any blockages or debris in some of our waterways. So Nick, do you know if there's an alert system or some way that the residents, that we can maybe publish, that the residents can reach out to DPW if there is a blockage that's creating flooding?
Usually anything that is discovered is usually just called into the DPW directly and they report it that way.
Okay.
If it's a major event, we open the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center. It is staffed. We'll have somebody there that takes those calls while Gary is on the road helping, assisting in other ways, because we have a small crew. We have to do what we can. But we do put somebody from EMA in the EOC to take those calls and try to help in any way we can.
Do you think it's worthwhile to consider putting something on the Richmond website about contacting DPW if there is some kind of blockage?
Potentially, yeah. As long as it's address it as major blockages that could potentially cause more flooding and damage to other properties. I think that's the big thing. If it's a small drain that's just a little puddle at this point during a major event, that might end up further down the list than something that's majorly causing a road to be closed or something like that, where we have to address it right away.
All right, so moving on to numbers 14, 15, and 16 in the plan, which have to do with wetland restoration, pursuing permanent land protection for various parcels within Richmond that happen to be high priorities for flooding. So has the Conservation Commission been engaged at all about progress on these, and if there's any interest in moving forward with some of these mitigation actions?
I haven't heard yet on that.
Do you think you can reach out to them
Yes.
and ask if there's been any movement, and maybe we can have a discussion as a council and the Conservation Commission on what we can do about those?
Do you want to put that into a motion? For for direction to town employee?
Yeah, it's gonna kind of wait till the end.
That was the first direction I think I heard.
Okay. All right, so I will make a motion to request our EMA director to reach out to the Conservation Commission to discuss items 14, 15, and 16 and their status in the hazard mitigation plan.
Second.
Any further council discussion on that one? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes,
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, on to your next question.
or else there's 29 of these. So we'll
Yeah,
have to
fine.
do it.
Like I
we-
said,
yeah.
just pause.
Do we know on, so number 17 is implementation of the recommendations from the PL 566 program, but since we just got some information that they're gonna meet with us, I guess that's, my question's moot, but essentially what I was gonna be asking is how any of that was being implemented, some of their direction, but we haven't had anything yet. Number 18 is raising the retaining wall around the pump station at Wood River Drive. Do we know if anything if there any action has been taken for that, if it's how it's being funded? Because I don't remember seeing it in the capital improvement plan.
Just in conversations with Gary again, it's been on the list of projects. It's not if you following with what the hazard mitigation had laid out, it was not labeled as a high priority item. It's labeled as a low priority item, so that's why it hasn't been brought forward as far as that goes yet.
Okay, so that's just something we'll do when we have budget and time.
Correct.
Got it. All right. Okay, for number 19, which is encourage private owners to create emergency action plans. And what you reported to us for number 19, this has to do with dams. You said the Wood River Dam has an EAP, emergency action plan that was submitted to RIDOT, since it's a RIDOT dam. So the EMA completed an EAP for the dam Horseshoe Falls, but the owner is currently unknown.
So I reached out to the state on this because I did find our EAP that we had created in 2022. When I reached out, they do not, because it's not considered a high-risk dam, they do not feel that it needs to be gone into title searching. And that, because obviously it has to be funded for title searching. In conversations with other departments as well, we have no idea who the current owner is. The previous owner was redacted, I shouldn't say redacted, crossed out at the time of the EAP for the last known that we had. And when reached out to, he was not the current owner, so.
Okay, so it's not known, but they claim it's low risk, so
It is, yep.
with or without an owner, shouldn't be an issue for us. That's great. Okay, so number 20 is assessing opportunities for dry flood proofing of the town hall, and then 21 is implementing dry flood proofing in town hall, and this is to protect vital records. I know that we now have an online system, so this question is mainly directed probably to our admin and our town clerk, is do we still have a concern over protecting paper vital records in our basement, and is there action that the council needs to consider to protect them or do anything about it?
Who wants to take this one? You guys are smiling back and forth at each other.
See some eye rolls too. Oh, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, we lost a lot of records, not land evidence in 2010 that weren't required to be filmed. The records, there is a I have implemented a process to review the records in the locked area of the basement to ensure that no more records go on the floor and they're raised. However, we do have a secondary vault with a locking mechanism that's raised floor that is not currently being utilized. So we do have a plan in place to replace that as historical record funds become available. but we need to go through everything and all departments need to remove whatever we can destroy that we don't need to retain. That needs to happen before the project can be implemented. But we need to retain records that are permanent, but not necessarily are all filmed. So that is a concern. And plus Archive is saying that there's not currently a digital accepted practice to remove those permanent records from a physical paper form because of the changes in format. Like we used to have floppy disks and CDs and even scanning and converting to PDF. So microfilm is really truly the only way, but that process is expensive. And those are stored off-site. So I don't have concern of land evidence and probate because that is filmed and not stored there, but there's other permanent records that are not, that will need to be addressed.
Have we had any flooding issues since 2010 in the basement?
Not
Aaron, is it Rhode Island Foundation that provides the historical record funding?
There's a grant for the Rhode Island, but also through conveyance and taxes. It's state law that funds be set aside for every recording, and a percentage of that goes towards technology and a percentage goes toward historical records. And as that builds up, it's, you know, recorded in deeds. It's not a budgeted, it's not a, and it can only be used for those two purposes. And so that project is gonna be quite expensive, so we're not there yet, but it will, the basement will be addressed before the upstairs vault due to the need of storage. So, because we have scanned maps and done other projects, we've used historical funds, and so we just need, and obviously recording has been slow in this economy. It is, I'm glad to see the vault has been very busy the last few weeks, so that is a good sign that people are, you know, looking to record. So hopefully recording will increase and we can get that cap up.
All right.
That's all I got for that one. All right, so number 22 has to do with repair the perimeter fencing to secure the Shannock Hill radio communication tower. You know if that's been implemented?
That part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that fencing is repaired if it does get damaged at all. It's just unfortunately children get into the area and break the fence sometimes. If it does, is discovered, then it's fixed.
Okay, yeah, so that was part of the upgrade and everything.
No, that's, the upgrade is separate.
Okay.
The security is totally separate from the upgrade of the tower.
Okay, yeah, and didn't we talked about this recently, that we got a grant for some additional camera systems for the town. That's part of the security measures.
Well,
We applied for one for cameras, but I don't think we're gonna get it because we don't have the match. But we have the USDA money for the tower, so.
Right, but it doesn't include any security measures around it.
I can't remember, to tell you the truth, whether cameras were included in that specific grant or not, but there was a separate grant that we had applied to Senator Reed for cameras here, everywhere. Here,
undisclosed
water.
locations.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Chief. Why I was like, don't say too much. All right.
Almost done. All right, so number 23 was backup, new backup generator for the town hall, so we got that one, so that's great. And then, so number 24 and 25. So the first one is develop a Richmond debris management plan. The second one is update the Richmond emergency operations plan and community emergency management plan. I know that some of these emergency management plans might have some safety issues, security problems, so you wouldn't want to publish it, but generally for both of those items, are they published? And if they are published, are they accessible to the public?
As far as the emergency action operations plan, I'm not entirely sure on the two plans themselves. I know there are certain parts of it that are supposed to be kept back because of security reasons, safety reasons for everybody. I'm currently trying to locate the most recent action plan. We're in the process of obviously getting everything to me for EMA. The last update that I have been able to find in the EOC has been from 2011. After talking with Joe Arsenal, there was a more recent plan done. I'm just trying to locate it. So that's in progress. And once I do get the most current one, it will be updated to today or when it gets done.
All right, moving on. All right, so number 27, 28 have to do with fire protection. So 27 is develop a wildland urban interface fire plan or community wildfire protection plan, and 28 is improve emergency access to fire gates. So we had a fairly large fire local to us a couple years back, the Exeter wildfire. And there was a new forestry initiative that was actually chaired by our district representative, Megan Cotter. Do you know if 27 and 28 are being addressed as part of that new forestry initiative?
So I believe they are in there as well. I'm not entirely sure how much of them is involved in it, but from my understanding, there is a lot going on from Representative Cotter's side, as well as the chief of Richmond and a few other chiefs in the area that are heavily involved with it.
Okay, and then the final one has to do with increased public education on tick-borne diseases. The Conservation Commission is the lead on this. Do you know if there's any additional information published on our website about that? You said it was unknown.
Yeah, I did a little bit of digging. I couldn't find much. I know Department of Health has a little bit listed on their website. Other than that, I'm not sure on other resources we have, if we have anything posted here or if we have anything posted. I didn't really find anything on our website. So,
well, it might be worth considering URI, which is right down the road, of course. They have something called a tick encounter, and it's a fairly straightforward website that you can go and click on. It'll tell you all kinds of information about ticks, what kind of ticks we have, what kind of disease they carry, and then how to get them tested. It might be worthwhile to consider putting a link to that on our town website so people can look at that in case they have any concerns. And that's all I got. So I really appreciate your time doing this, and thank you for sitting here, everyone, and listening to me drag on for 20 minutes about it.
You're welcome.
Nick, I have in my file an emergency operations plan that's dated 2016. The plan itself doesn't have a date on it, but the date of the file is 2016.
I think that was the that was just a review. One? Yeah.
Okay.
A review from the 2011 one.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, next we have our land trust report. All right, you can take the podium and share with us what's going on at Salia Preserve.
Yes. All right. Hi, everyone. Suzanne Payton, current chair of the Richmond Rural Preservation Land Trust. Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update because it's been a really long time coming. We have completed the parking area for the Salia Preserve. The property, just as I did submit the final report from Horsley Witten, which was the engineer that we had hired to do the design for the parking area. And then we went out to bid in the fall. We hired a construction firm, Salitro Property Solutions. They've done the construction. It was completed in May. We've submitted the final documentation for our permit from Rhode Island DEM, and so it's all finalized. We just need to install the sign. We're working on the final sign, and then we're hoping to have like a groundbreaking or, you know, ribbon cutting, I don't know, opening. But so just to give you just everyone broadly, the property is 112 acres. It didn't have frontage on the road. We have a right of way through the adjacent property to what's now the parking lot, which you can see there, which is at the end of Chelsea Farm Drive. And so we'll have a trailhead there. We had an Eagle Scout back in 2022 construct a kiosk on the actual property, which will be just sort of down the trail a little ways. And then we had another Eagle Scout just this spring who constructed a beautiful bridge across a stream. And we've got about a 1.7 mile trail that's already blazed and ready for the public. So as soon as we get a sign installed, we'll be ready to open it. And this was funded through a trail grant from Rhode Island DEM. We originally applied for the grant in 2020. Karen knows this, with the permission of the town council. The low bid was way above that. When we finally got to that point, the grant was not awarded until 2022. And then by the time we got all the design and everything done, So we asked for another 40,000 and they gave it to us. They amended the grant, added an extra 40,000 and extended us through December of 2025 to complete all the paperwork. So we've been submitting all of the documentation and they'll be reimbursing us for, I was worried Dan was gonna bring that up, like we've paid out over $100,000, but it will be reimbursed as soon as I get everything into eCivics from Rhode Island DEM. And I think that's it. I just wanted to, we're excited. So it's a beautiful, beautiful property. It's really gorgeous,
Awesome.
really hilly. There's some beautiful big rocks with moss all over them. And it's forested and gorgeous and yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for all the work you put into that. Years and years, the whole committee put a lot of work, our land trust put a lot of work into it. And I really appreciate, you guys volunteering and putting your time and effort into it. I have one question.
Sure.
Is it open to the public? We're here talking about it. If someone were to go there, would they get in trouble?
No, that's the whole.
Okay, so
that's
it's now
the whole
open.
point is
Good,
that
perfect.
it's open to anyone, everyone. Absolutely. Honestly, if you drive there now, you can self-navigate. We don't have the official sign up yet.
Right.
So, and we also had Pete Stetson help us to create a trail map. So he GPSed the trail. We've got the map. We need to have it printed and then posted on the kiosk. So we're just doing a few final things to make sure that the public sort of knows where they are and it's well signed and all of that before we officially open it. But I think the neighbors have figured it out. I see sign that there have been.
Yeah, they're hiding.
People are hiking the dog, that the dogs are, people are walking their dogs and enjoying it locally.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Suzanne.
All right, on to new business. We're kicking it off with Councilor Dinsmore's request. You want to share a little bit and then give us a motion? Request or just for discussion and consideration of approving a resolution opposing Rhode Island General Assembly Bill H 543625 and S 35925.
I just want to read the resolution
Sure.
and here it goes. State of Rhode Island, Town of Richmond, on the subject of Rhode Island General Assembly Bills H 5436 2025 and S 359 2025. Whereas the state of Rhode Island has a written constitution, and whereas Article 14 of the Rhode Island Constitution provides for a means to amend that constitution. And whereas House Bill 5436 and Senate Bill 359 seek to curtail the rights afforded by Section 22 of the Rhode Island Constitution, such that their legal effect would be substantively equivalent to an amendment of Section 22 of the Rhode Island Constitution. And whereas, should the General Assembly and the electors of Rhode Island wish to amend the Rhode Island Constitution, the amendment process shall follow the rules long established in Article 14, Section 1 of the Rhode Island Constitution. And whereas Rhode Island House Bill 5436 and Rhode Island Senate Bill 359 seeks to bypass this amendment process, we conclude that House Bill 5436 and Senate Bill 359 are extra legal by their very nature. Therefore, we, the town of Richmond, representing the residents of Richmond who seek to abide by the laws of the state, resolve to oppose the two proposed bills, H 5436 2025 and S 359 2025. We have further resolved that this resolution be sent to the Governor of Rhode Island, all members of the General Assembly of Rhode Island, the Lieutenant Governor of Rhode Island, and the Attorney General of Rhode Island, and the town councils of all cities and towns in Rhode Island.
Do you have a motion for it?
Make a motion to approve this resolution. Propose the Rhode Island General Assembly Bill H 5436 2025 and S 359 2025.
I'll second it.
All right, so we have our motion, our second for discussion. We're gonna do council discussion first, then go to the public. Any counselors want to add anything? Do you have anything you want to add, Counselor Dinsmore? Anybody got anything?
Sure.
Sure, go ahead, yeah.
No, his hand was up first. I'll mark.
I don't think he raised his hand. I heard your voice first. Go ahead, Counselor Madnick.
Well, I'm gonna let Mark go first. I'm gonna yield my time to him. Mark is an attorney. I'd like to hear what his perspective is on this before I say.
All right, go ahead,
my
Counselor
piece.
Reynolds.
Well, I mean, my perspective isn't a legal one. I do not support either of these bills. I think they're overly broad. I think their definition of what an assault weapon is too broad. I think it infringes too heavily on legitimate uses of weapons for hunting and sport and other reasons. So for that reason, I don't support them. The issue I have with this, the language of the resolution, is we're essentially saying we think it's unconstitutional. I don't know if it is or it isn't. I don't support it, whether it's constitutional or not. I don't support it. I should say, there's two bills. So I mean, again, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, I guess, but I would prefer a resolution that just simply states, you know, we don't support these bills. We think they're overly broad and, you know, something that, you know, kind of might keep it simple, mantra.
Go ahead, Counselor Madden.
All right, I'm gonna make 2 points here. One's gonna be part of what Mark just said. I just want to point out that so far in the 6-7 months we've been here, Counselor Dinsmore has brought in front of this council, and as the lone Republican, 2 divisive topics: immigration and firearm legislation. It's just disappointing that we're here discussing these things that the council has very little influence in. And I would expect that we bring more meaningful ideas to the table that we can do something about as a town. Can't really do much about this. Even if we adopt the resolution we all agree with here, the GA and the Senate are gonna do what they're gonna do. I don't know if these resolutions have much effect at all. I just think as a council, we can do more meaningful things, more constructive things that help the town. Focus on the stuff that we all know that will help. Economic development was a big one. But these 2 things, immigration and firearms, there's a lot that goes into them, and we can discuss until we fall asleep tonight. And there's gonna be people on either sides of the discussion, and they get really heated. And I personally don't like having those things because of how emotional we get. With that said, I agree with what Councilor Reynolds said. I would suggest a resolution that's in opposition of the House and Senate bill, very simply, but removes the constitutional legality and amendment sections in here, because I'm not an attorney, I'm not a constitutional attorney, none of us are, and I don't think it's for this council to discuss what like extra legal means. So I echo what Councilor Reynolds said. I don't agree with the way that the House and Senate bills are written as is. I think they're way too broad. I think they're virtually unenforceable, and they're gonna end up being challenged in court, and they're gonna go nowhere. So I agree with Councilor Reynolds in pushing, you know, forward with a different resolution, not this one specifically.
Right, so you had your chance. I'm gonna go, and then we'll go back to you for a second bite of the apple. So I'm gonna say I agree with both of you. I find that our resolutions do have effect. I like to think they do. I like to hope they do. When we send them up to the state, I do think that there's a voice if all the communities come together and we're all sending the same resolution up, that they're looking at it. At the very least, our representatives is looking at it. And with this particular bill, we already know that Rep. Cotter has voted against the bill. We already know that Senator Morgan's going to do so soon if it gets to the Senate floor. So if we would be talking to all the other senators, which they should be listening to their community, not necessarily ours. But I do believe that there's a strength in numbers where if you're getting the same resolution from multiple municipalities, it does have a lot of weight and it can make them rethink what they're doing. But this isn't the same resolution, so it would be very different. I agree with some of the amendments, the floor amendments that some of the House Republicans put on the floor, including I didn't like, there was one issue with the bill where if you had a certain gun, you couldn't, like, it's no longer legal. And I don't know much about guns. I'm gonna throw that out there. I shot a gun once in my life, thanks to a friend last year. So I'm not as educated as I should be on this, but if you had one of the guns that they're saying you ban, but you're allowed to have it because your grandfathered in, you couldn't drive to your friend's house to use it together. You have to go to one location, which the Senate Republicans are saying that the only location is Big River Management Area. too restrictive to me. Like, you can't go to your friend's house. I just think like in our community, that's what our constituents want. They want to go to their friend's house. If you have a smaller property and you have someone who has a bigger one to be able to shoot recreationally, you should. There's a few other floor amendments that the Republicans made that I did agree with. So I think I'm a little bit more moderate, as Councilor Madnick had said, we're bringing up very political issues. We're a little more moderate with this one, where I don't believe we should be just banning things just for the sake of banning them. We should have regulation when needed, but we shouldn't just be outright banning something. So I don't agree with either bill. I don't agree with the amendment, because actually we should be, any resolution we have should have a sub A at this point for the House bill. But I also think that this resolution doesn't really reflect what we want it to reflect, because like was already said, we're not constitutional attorneys. And I do think it's a little too late in the session, because now by the time we amend a resolution and get it to the Senate, get it to our representatives, it's almost over. This bill is going to be heard in the Senate on Thursday or tomorrow. I'm sorry, tomorrow. Yeah. And it's already passed the House. So I just feel like it's a little too late. And actually, I know this was given to us by a constituent. I have a lot of respect for that constituent. And I told him this directly. I don't want to bring this to council because I don't want it to create a polarizing issue. We're all getting along so well. The community's getting along way better than I've seen in the past with council. So I wanted to keep that momentum going. So I told him directly I wasn't going to do it. But I did actually submit written testimony in opposition to these bills and sent it to my senator and my representative. So I would encourage anybody else to do the same. I think that's all I have to say, hopefully. Councilor Dinsmore, you had more you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I hear your feedback, and that's the reason why I brought it, because I was approached by Gary to do so. That's why.
May I speak?
Sure, we'll go for comments from the public. Sorry, I just had some water. Please state your name for the record.
Kristen Chambers from Richmond. First, while I'm up here, I want to thank you, Karen Pinch, for your 10 years of honorable service as town administrator to Richmond. And you've been supportive and a friend to the Richmond Historical Society. Whenever we've had a question or a problem, you're the person to go to. And you've been a consistent model of expertise, kindness, and grace under pressure, which I can't even imagine. I aspire to be Karen Pinch. And I wish you all happiness in your retirement.
Thank you.
I'm speaking tonight to ask the Richmond Town Council to reject the resolution proposed by Councilor Dinsmore. I don't know if people even know what these two bills, I'm sorry, talking to you.
Thank you.
That they're talking about are, it's called the Rhode Island Assault Weapons Ban Act of 2025. This bill has been worked on for over 12 years since Sandy Hook. So every year it's been amended, worded, taken Rhode Islanders input into account to make it legal. They know what they're doing up there. Half of those legislators are lawyers, right? Gotta find my place.
Okay.
And what the bills do is to seek to restrict the manufacture, sale, purchase, and possession of assault weapons. You may say, oh, they don't describe it well. There's so much gunsplaining that goes on when these hearings are on. In the bills, it tells you what they consider an assault weapon. So people are not just saying, okay, yeah, this is an assault weapon. They know what they're talking about. Assault weapons are exceptionally deadly firearms, commonplace in mass shootings. A poll conducted in February 2025 indicated that 64% of Rhode Islanders support a ban on the sales and manufacture of assault weapons. We're not just talking people in the city, the big city. I live in Richmond, and I'm sure 64% of people in Richmond may not have as big mouths as the people who are supporting guns anywhere and everywhere. But I'm sure at least 64% would agree that a civilian should not have a weapon capable of mowing down dozens of people in a matter of minutes in their gun safe or laying around their house. Assault weapons are weapons of warfare and do not belong in the hands of civilians. And I know the chief probably doesn't want to comment, but what I've heard at testimony is police officers do not want civilians with easy access to assault weapons. And they're not for hunting. You can't use them for hunting. It's illegal to use them for hunting because you would end up with this big of a piece of a deer once you shot it. Thankfully, the House bill has passed already, and we await a vote this week on the Senate bill. Passage of these bills into law would protect Rhode Islanders by reducing the likelihood of mass shooting injuries and deaths via assault weapons. The Richmond Town Council needs to focus on issues that will improve our town's economic viability and community spirit, and to support common sense gun laws rather than tear them down with this harmful, divisive, and meaningless resolution. Voting against the assault weapons ban bill does not demonstrate a concern for keeping communities and children safe, promoting safety, or preventing violence. It indicates the exact opposite. And I have to say, I'm really disappointed that the 3 Democratic town council members are okay with this resolution, maybe not as how it's stated about the legality of it, but assault weapons should not be in civilian hands, and I apologize for my allergies. If you must pass a resolution, if that's your goal tonight, I suggest it be a resolution in recognition. Do you know what this month is? June is National Gun Violence Awareness Month. That would be a valuable resolution to pass, or at least to acknowledge the importance of gun violence awareness and how it affects every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? All right. And we have 2 online. All right. After Julie will go online, then we'll shift back to in person.
Julie was here, Richmond. I'll be very brief. There's a lot of arguments on both sides, but the basic fact is this law as written does not describe an assault weapon. It describes a lot of legally carried, legally purchased guns. And to pass this bill, the Rhode Island would criminalize a lot of citizens that have them legally, use them legally. And I think it's just bogus. If this bill were accurate in what it says and did include only assault weapons, that may be a different story. But as written, it does not. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron, you want to give permissions to somebody online, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
People online.
Oh, sorry. Gary Parker, you should have permissions. Gary, we'll come back to you.
Gary, we'll come back to you just in case you didn't hear her.
Buttonwoods Motocross, you should have permissions.
So please state your name for the record.
Jordan Carlson, Richmond resident.
You can go ahead.
All right, I just wanted to state for the record that, the Constitution is one of the most important documents that we have. And, in light of I saw a lot of No Kings protests. I just want people to be reminded that the reason that we got rid of the king in England was because of a small tax and because of the banning of firearms. So if you really want no kings, I suggest that you respect and admire, the Second Amendment as it was written to never be infringed. And I would also say it's very important to adopt resolutions to show the General Assembly what the true fabric of Rhode Island is, which is, you know, the Gatsby was burned here and this country was founded in this state. So to infringe on anybody's rights because you're afraid of getting shot means you should probably just, you know, not live in America, because guns are one of the most founding things that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we get Mr. Parker back?
GWP, you have permissions.
If you're having like you should have permissions? Is he? I was gonna say, if he's having connectivity issues, he can call in too.
Gary, I'll prompt you to unmute, and so just respond to that. Did it come up? Lower, are you on an iPhone? Hit,
We're looking for the call-in number?
no, I think it's pound 9. Or on the lower screen, you should see a mute microphone button. Ask.
Star 9. That's to raise your hand, I think.
Put the phone number in the chat box, but may it not get kicked out.
No.
I'm really still glad we allow the accessibility of this option, even when it fails.
So Gary, you're on an iPad. I can see you. Okay. So there should be a microphone icon in your meeting controls, and it has a red line through it. Just tap it to unmute. Now try it. Gary, now tap it one more time.
Yes, it's still can you? Just kidding. I was just teasing you from.
Gary, do you want to chat and I can read it? Okay. Then we'll,
So that sounds like good. So he's gonna put his chat into the chat and we're going to move on to in-person people. You can go ahead, Mr. Stoner. You do. Thank you so much for your patience too, everybody.
Garrett Stoner from the town of Richmond. I appreciate Councilor Madnick's comments. I too wish that this agenda item were not on the agenda. I don't think this is a town council appropriate agenda item. And this conversation reminds me of the divisiveness of this issue. But you got me at the Rhode Island Assault Weapons Ban 2025. I've worked in public schools for over 40 years, and I can't count the number of children and adolescents who would not come to school for days after school shootings. I can't count the number of children that I've had to talk to and help with problems related to fears and anxieties. There's simply no reason for assault weapons unless we're in some kind of a war, in which case they'd be in the hands of soldiers. Period. I'm sick of the conversation. I'm sick of the arguments, and there's no reason for these guns. I can appreciate, I don't know what the bill says, to be honest with you. I don't know which ones belong. I appreciate the comment. I can't speak to that, but I'm kind of sick and tired of people being killed by assault weapons in this country. And, and this issue is too divisive, but at the same time, we have to start somewhere. And we're not doing anything. We're not moving forward. We just continue to, look at it and kind of with awe, you know. There was speaking of no kings, a woman was walking around with a sign at the No Kings protest in Providence on Saturday, and it said, if you don't like abortion, look away and ignore it, just like you ignore school shootings. Okay, that's what we're doing. We ignore school shootings. They largely take place with assault weapons, and there's nothing you can say that can justify them. So if you approve this, take my name off the town of Richmond residents, because you're not representing me in doing so. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we have anybody else in person? We're online. Was Mr. Parker? Sorry, I'm missing. No, I'm not. Hate when that happens. Is Mr. Parker's testimony like in the chat?
He was gonna try and call in.
Okay. I feel bad because I know he was the resident who asked us to put this on the agenda. And he mentioned after the last meeting that he may be away and will try to Zoom us, but we may have to take his written word and put it on the communication section of the next agenda, because I don't want to tie up too much time. Did we lose him again?
Yeah, he said.
All right. We'll go on to our next new item with my apologies. Thank you for being understanding, and thank you everybody for your patience. All right, so on to, oh, I'm sorry, we have an action item on this. Counselor, oh, we have the motion on the floor, right? And you seconded it. My apologies. So any further council discussion?
I guess do we want to amend it to be more simple, or I don't want to spend a lot of time on this either. I think we have, town things we should be dealing with, but.
I think we amend it to be very simple. I pulled up and I looked at a bunch of resolutions from other towns. Some of them are actually way more detailed than this. I don't think that they're useful. But I think, and I've got the bill up and I've read the bill a couple times, and there are things in it that I agree with. There are things in there I don't agree with. There are things that people have said tonight that I agree with. There are things that people said that I don't agree with. It's a very complex situation. I do hear what everyone is saying. I've got kids in school, like I get it. But the way that this bill is currently written, and and I will just read a part of it. And again, I'm not an attorney, but when I read it, there is a part in here. Let me just find it. 1 second. So it's essentially going to prohibit a semi-automatic pistol that has a fixed magazine capacity exceeding 10 rounds. I've handled these pistols. I've shot these pistols. I know people that have them, my neighbors. I don't see how you can enforce this. And all the amendments that, as you stated, that some of the other legislatures had submitted got turned down. They didn't even really have a discussion about the merits or drawbacks of the amendments. So I don't like the way that some of this is written in here. It doesn't mean that I'm for assault weapons or against assault weapons. So to Mark's point, I would like to have a simple resolution that just states that the Richmond Town Council opposes these two bills in the House and Senate as they are written. Meaning, I want them to go back and keep working.
Yeah. Do you want to put that into a motion to amend the motion on the floor? Or would you like to withdraw your motion so we can make that?
I can ask them to amend. I'll make a motion to amend it.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so I'll make a motion to amend the motion to approve the resolution as is, to simplify what has been presented to us, to state that the Richmond Town Council does not support House Bill 5436 and Senate Bill 359 as written.
I'll second it. Any council discussion on the amendment to the motion?
Fine.
Fine, awesome. Because I'll say, I agree as well. I have kids in the district. I know what it's like to watch your kids grow up in that area where they're having lockdowns all the time. We want to stop that. We want to have our schools be safe, but I agree that this bill's overreaching and it's not well defined. And that example you gave was perfect. Thank you for giving it. Because like I said, I don't know enough about guns to know the specifics of which are and aren't. But as I'm learning, which I think we all should be open to learning, as I'm learning about it, I'm like, this is just what our neighbors have. This is just what average citizens have. And I just don't think that it should be taken away. And I think that they should have more of a conversation up at the State House and not even consider the resolutions this year. There wasn't much opposition to, like, it stated reasons as to why they opposed those amendments. Nobody stood up that I saw on the Senate floor or the House floor and said anything. So I agree. So anybody else? We'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. So now we have our amended motion on the floor. And we'll go to vote for that. How do you vote, Counselor Dinsmore?
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right. So we will go on to discussion and consideration of a zone change for residential, from residential zone 2 to public and governmental hub at 4 Richmond Townhouse Road. And authorization for the clerk to advertise for public hearing. So can I please have a motion to authorize the town clerk to advertise this for a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. I believe we talked about this in the past. I'm just gonna give a brief update. I think it was this council, where we want to change the property across the street from residential to governmental because we own it and we're doing work to it. And there's some other reasons I believe as well. Let us know if you have questions and we'll bring it up at the public hearing. So we'll go for our roll call vote. If there's no further council discussion. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, request of Counselor Madnick for discussion to create and install permanent signs at the Richmond Transfer Station recycling area.
I would request and make a motion that we move this to the July meeting. I would like to have this discussion while Councilman Parmigiano is here, since he's been kind of leading this effort. I will add that this came out of my own experience at the transfer station. When I went and I saw a full hose reel, like the reel and the hose, sitting on top of one of the recycling bins. And I was like, that's gonna get rejected. And that's gonna be, I don't know, $500 for the town. And the numbers, I think, last I knew were $1,500 in the first quarter. Extrapolate that out, it's $6,000 for the year. And it's like, we're squabbling as a council over budget items that are way less than that. And it's like, I like to have this discussion with Jim here. But if you guys will humor me. There's a motion. Motion to move new business L3 to the July 15th meeting.
Second.
All right. Any council discussion? All right, we'll go to vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right, next on the agenda, we have to form a administrative search committee as required by Article 4, Section 1C of the town charter with an appointment of the town council member to serve pursuant to the charter. So we should have a discussion, I think, on what we want to do as far as the search committee and then make some motions to put that into action. Yeah, you want to, I have a couple ideas I'll throw out. I was thinking we could, I wanted to actually postpone the appointment of a town council member to the next meeting, just because, again, Councilor Parmigiano is not here tonight. And also just advertise to our next meeting, and members of the public, people who are interested, can apply, use the form online to apply for any board or commission, just check the other line and it doesn't say other, the blank line that you check the box next to and write it in. And we'll review those applicants at that time at the next meeting. Anybody have anything they want to
Oh, I think that makes sense. Put it out there so people who are interested can apply, and then we can look at them and make a decision at the July meeting.
All right, do we want to set any criteria tonight as far as how big we want this group to be, anything like that? Or do we want to see what we get and go from there? Do we want to set any kind of expectations?
I'd hate to say it's gonna be 3 or 5 and then get 4 or 6 good people.
Right.
Want to have to exclude somebody. So I'd rather, let's leave it open. If we get 10, then we're gonna have to say, okay, we're gonna pick 5. So I think that's gonna have to be kind of the first decision we make, depending upon how many applications, whether we're gonna limit the number, depending upon the number of applications we get. So like I said, I'd hate to say it's gonna be 4 and then get 5 good applications. So I think we can leave it open. Unless anyone thinks otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes sense to me. My concern was that we do get 10 and then, I obviously wouldn't want a group that big. Just that's my opinion, but I can see wanting to keep it open so we can be flexible at the next meeting.
Right, and I'd hate to say we're gonna have 5 and then we only get 4 applications and then.
Right.
But I agree. You don't want it too big. I couldn't see it being more than 5, just because of the number of people, but.
That's a good number.
That's a goal, but I don't think we should set it as the.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 3 is too small. I think 5 is a good goal. You get some people with different backgrounds, different demographics. I mean, they have something to bring to the table, and I think that's a reasonable size. But I'd like to see who's interested in this.
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to add? All right, we should do a motion to ask our town staff to advertise the position or the openings on the town administrator search / hiring committee.
So moved.
Thank you.
And include the deadline for.
Yes,
Whatever it
yes.
is, be very clear about what the deadline is for applications to be in the hands of whoever they need to be in the hands of.
July 9th.
Yeah. I don't think I need to amend the motion. You guys just know to do that.
Do you want
The advertisement.
Do you want to do the 8th to make sure it's in on time? Because you need it by 4 PM, July 9th.
That's a typical agenda deadline, so.
Yeah. In case there's any last minute. I'm okay with that. Just someone missed deadline, well, I'm so sad, I guess.
All right. So I did get a second on that, right? Counselor Mandic, you seconded it?
No, I made the motion.
Oh, okay. I'll second it. And we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Mandic.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. All right, request of Chris Fox, Executive Director of Wood Pawcatuck Watershed Association. Thank you for your patience, by the way.
Thanks for having me.
Um,
You should get a gold star for getting that name right, because not many people do.
your name?
No, the name of the association.
Oh, I try to work with them sometimes. They gave me a hat, I know.
I'm the director for the Wood Pawcatuck Watershed Association. I can only say it that fluently because I have to say it 1,000 times a week. I appreciate being here. I'm here because the town of Richmond owns a culvert on Hillsdale Road that is a bit of a flooding nuisance. I know it's a nuisance for Gary at DPW. When it overtops the road has to be closed, causing subsequent damage to the side of the road. From our organizational standpoint, it is what's called perched culvert pipes, which means it's a pipe system with water that flows out, which prevents any wildlife that reside in the river from moving up or down from that location. Technically, they could go down if they go through the pipes and fall out like a nice water slide, but otherwise they're not getting back up the river again. So our interest in this project was to restore connectivity to the Beaver River at that location. Back in February of 2024, the previous council here authorized our organization to serve as the project manager to replace the Hillsdale culvert. Since then, we retained the engineering firm of Fuss & O'Neill to develop a design and a wetland permit application for the replacement of the culvert. To date, we've spent about $200,000 of our grant funding to develop this design. The design's been created in consultation with the council's designated town staff members. And the design is now ready to be packaged into an application to alter a Rhode Island freshwater wetland. The design is in the packet that I supplied to you folks. As the property owner, only the town can sign and submit the application. This is one of the few places in the project where I can't represent you. So I'm here tonight simply to secure the council's approval of the submission of the wetlands permit application and to designate a staffer to sign the application on the town's behalf. I think in my request, I have put Karen down as the person name, but that was for real. So it might be prudent to either not designate a specific person or designate maybe somebody other than the town administrator, because we're expecting submission to happen sometime in the next 30 days. I'm not sure when Karen's last day is, but hopefully we can get in the door before she goes, but I'm not exactly sure we'll be able to do that.
Okay. So when we do a motion, we usually authorize you to sign. We can just skip that part and I can sign, right? That might be cleaner just because there's a lot of moving parts. All right. All right. Do we have any motions to throw on the floor?
Motion to authorize the submission of the application to RIDEM for the Hillsdale Road Culvert Replacement Project to be signed by the council president.
Second.
All right. Any further council discussion or questions on this?
Yeah, one, just,
Sure.
maybe this is out of bounds and you can correct me, but do we know the timeline, and then is Hillsdale gonna be shut down while this is replaced?
Yes. So we have not secured construction funding yet. The anticipation is construction funding is based on a competitive bidding process. Probably gonna be somewhere between 800,000 and $1 million. If I can raise $1 million on behalf of the town of Richmond between now and July 1st of 26, we hope to start construction in July of 26. It's being carefully planned such that road closure would not occur during the school year, so we wouldn't affect bus routes. Road closure would be for approximately 4 to 8 weeks, depending on weather. And it would be posted on the road months in advance that the project is coming, the road closure is happening, and there will also be a provision for traffic to U-turn and turn around when met with that closure. And obviously, we'll be working with chief, fire chiefs, making sure everybody's aware of the closure and alternate routes for responding to emergencies.
And sometimes when there's closures, it ends up on Notify Me, which I love to plug when I can and tell people to go online and sign up for Notify Me. It's super easy. Any other questions? All right, so we'll go for our roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. Thank you again so much for your help
Thank you.
and securing that for the town.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have communications, petitions, proclamations, and resolutions. We have motion 5. Well, does anybody have anything to pull first? I'm sorry. All right,
Motion to file.
Second?
all right, go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Wilcox, yes. All right, now we're going on to executive session.
Motion. My turn.
Yeah.
Motion to move into executive session pursuant to RI General Laws 42-46 5A2 regarding litigation 36 and 37 Wood Road boundary dispute, and pursuant to General Laws 42-46 5A5 regarding potential acquisition of real property.
Second.
All right, we go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And Wilcox, yes. That was some nice timing on your end.
Yeah.
That was good.
I told you it was just a lot of stuff.
Well, I assume since there's. Sorry. For discussion. Wait to join.